I was curious where the quarterback two competition stands and who you're working in there, if there might be an early front runner.
So right now it's pretty wide open. We got a great competition with, Ira, Jacob, and Jay Woolfolk. So it's been a bunch of reps with everybody battling. There's some small kind of things emerging, playing out, but we're just in the middle of that competition and seeing where it goes.
At Media Day, Brennan talked about now that he's had a year behind Bryce, a year playing, that he feels way more comfortable with the offense and he can now focus on the defense. Has that been a big point of emphasis, and have you seen that more from him already just early in practice?
Definitely. He's more comfortable, more experienced, has been through a year and learned all those lessons. And so he's playing, faster, more decisive, and playing really good football.
And we talked to Marcus yesterday, and he said, was that yesterday? 2 days ago, what day it is. And he said that Keaton falls more under Coach Anai's purview. How does he fit in with the pieces, and how seamless is that using Keaton in kind of this plug-in athletic piece that you can use offensively?
Yeah, he's primarily with Coach Anai, really emphasizing all the inside receiver jobs, and then still falling back on all his training with, the quarterback stuff and kind of the running back stuff and all the other things we do with them. So focus on the receiver and then adjust back onto everything he's done before.
You talk about how Brennan is more decisive, faster. Last year you guys had the detriment of trying to, incorporate a new quarterback when you didn't have spring practice. You didn't have all that leading up to it. And a lot of coaches say that the biggest part of someone's development is between spring and fall. What have you seen from his development in these couple of months? And I'm so sorry for my son, he's really excited right now. So what have you seen from those development in the last few months and his chemistry growing with the wide receiver group?
Yeah, there's definitely been an improvement where we left off in spring with things we're looking to do and his chemistry with those receivers that's happened over the summer. KT's in that, bigger role as a receiver, so there's a lot of chemistry there. And then with our young guys, Wicks, with Rashawn coming back, Billy, all those guys, it's a year more. Jelani was new in the spring, so it's another summer's worth of chemistry. So we have a decent amount of young guys returning that they really worked this summer to improve, and you could see that chemistry that they've put in.
Jason, down at the ACC kickoff, Brennan told us that he was committed to Minnesota for quite a while, and one day, kind of out of the blue, he got a phone call from you and I think Garrett. And can you tell us what prompted you to make that call after that long period of time, and how did you change his mind?
We identified Brennan really early on in the recruiting process, and we were building a great relationship and felt really good with where that recruiting process was going. So when he committed to Minnesota, it was kind of a surprise. It was kind of a shock. And so I just, in that kind of situation where you feel like a kid really fits here, and this is a really good opportunity for him, and it just didn't quite make sense. I just gave it some time, kind of let it die down. Just kind of waited. Then Minnesota started recruiting another quarterback, so that's when I decided to reach back out. Because I felt like maybe he got really pressured and squeezed into committing, and maybe with a little more time, let things kind of settle down. Just reach back out and see where he was at. And you could tell that he was open. He wasn't just like, great to hear from you, Coach, but I'm solidly committed. You could tell he was having kind of second thoughts, and so we re-kicked up the recruiting process. When we first offered him, Coach 2J was his area coach, so he had met him early on in the process. So once we started recruiting him, then I got Coach 2J involved, because he brings, I don't know if you guys heard about his woo factor, but he brings the woo factor. So you always got to get that in, with recruiting.
What is the woo factor?
I have no idea, but Coach 2J got it. So it stands for win others over, but that's Coach 2J right there.
Jason, Wicks the other day called or compared Brennan to Conor McGregor. How have you kind of seen that confidence and maybe that swagger kind of come out of him after his first year as a starter?
Well, it's been more the opposite. Like Brennan's been that. Like he is a competitor, a fighter, intense, and so it's actually been a little bit more pulling that back, and keeping him. That's who he is, and that's who we want him to be, and the guys love him because of that. But at the same time, when you're playing quarterback, just having that within reason. So it's actually kind of a little bit more, ranging in that fighting spirit for the right times and the right places. Because he's just naturally that way, competitive, aggressive, combative, high intensity, in practice. So it's more just kind of managing that and keeping things a little more steady when you need to.
Do you have any stories from those early days when he first got to UVA, just about when that would come out or when you would see that?
No big stories in particular, but just, if he makes a bad play, he's just swearing up and down, mainly at himself, because he's pissed. So when he messes up, he's just pissed. He's swearing to himself. It's like he's just ready to punch somebody. But it's, now if somebody else screws up, he'll direct that to them as well. But you would hear him, he'll just be muttering to himself under his breath because he's, just upset and pissed off that he made a mistake, and he wants to be great, and that's his response. When he doesn't do something like he should, he just gets really pissed at himself or the person that messes it up.
Is part of that dialing back more funneling it so that drives him forward in his play?
Yeah, exactly. You love the passion and the energy and wanting to be great, and it's just a matter of moving on to the next play, like learning whatever it is, address it, fix it, get better at it, but also at the same time move on to the next play and go from there and take that next play in its own space. So one rep, one play at a time.
How cool is it to see guys like Kurt and Bryce play, in preseason camp with their respective teams and making plays? And I think Kurt's become a bit of a fan favorite out there in Green Bay quickly.
Yeah, it seems like it with the little things I'm, been seeing. But no, it's awesome to follow the guys, to see what they're doing. All my kids have all the shirts and jerseys of, where quarterbacks, the NFL teams are on, and just to stay up with them and see what they're doing. So when that's what the guys love and that's what they want to pursue and be great at, to see them being successful in that, makes you happy. So you're excited for their success and everything they're doing.
We've got time for one more question for Coach Beck.
How much do you think Jacob benefited from getting there early last spring, and how much has that helped him get rolling here these first couple of, this first week or so?
Oh, it's huge. When you first get here, whether that's mid-year or now, it's like you're drinking out of a fire hose. It's just overwhelming, And that's where Jay Woolfolk is right now, and he's handling it really well. But having that spring to go through that, having that summer to know what that is like, and then to start camp, it's more like he's coming back for a second year. It just feels like he's more in his second year than he is the first year. That goes for any of those kids that come at mid-year. So we like to do that with the quarterbacks. Sometimes the schools don't allow you to graduate mid-year, and then sometimes a kid like Jay, who's such a great athlete and playing baseball, you want him to do that and have a great senior year. And so, you can do it either way. But if everything's even and they can come mid-year, then it's a big jump just to get them used to what college is like, and turns the fire hose down to just drinking out of a hose, I guess. So yeah, it's a lot better for them when they can do it.